Even though people have been fascinated with dinosaurs for years, they often have only a general idea about the characteristics that make dinosaurs different from other animals.
Here are 4 skeletons. Only one of them is really a dinosaur. Can you tell which one? Here's a hint. Look closely at the number of holes in the bones of the skull and where those holes are located. We will come back to this later.
I'm Andrew DeJesus.
And I'm Lauren Bagley, and we will be your hosts as we explore dinosaurs from a biblical perspective.
In order to identify a dinosaur, we first need to look at the structure of the dinosaur skulls compared to the skulls of other animals.
In addition to openings in the skull for the eyes and nose, many reptiles have other skull openings called fenestrae, illustrated here in blue.
These openings may be used for the attachment of jaw muscles, or they may provide space for air that makes the skull lighter in weight. One opening is called a fenestra. 2 or more openings are called fenestrae.
Notice that in the diagram, one fenestra is in front of the eye and one is in the lower jaw. 2 are behind the eye in the temporal area of the skull and are called temporal fenestrae. Animals have been classified into 4 different groups based on the number of temporal fenestrae found in their skulls.
Let's take a look at the 4 kinds of skulls used to identify these groups. The anapsid skull has no temporal fenestrae, as seen in turtles. The euryapsid skull has 1 temporal fenestra on each side, located near the top of the skull, as seen in plesiosaurs and ichthyosaurs. The synapsid skull has 1 temporal fenestra on each side, located in the lower cheek area, as seen in some extinct reptiles like Dimetrodon. The diapsid skull has 2 temporal fenestrae on each side, as seen in alligators, crocodiles, and dinosaurs.
The classification of different animals is not just based upon the fenestrae. There are many other characters that are used to define different groups of animals. Lizards and snakes are a good example of this. Although they are diapsids, they don't actually have a diapsid skull. Their skulls are designed in such a way that part of the temporal area is absent, so they are missing either one or both of the temporal fenestrae.
By now you are probably wondering why some animals have temporal fenestrae and why some don't. Let's take a look at one possible reason.
The more temporal fenestrae an animal has, or the bigger the animal's fenestrae, the stronger the jaw muscles can be and the bigger prey it can catch.
Predatory reptiles need a strong bite force. The larger the jaw muscle, the stronger the bite force.
However, there is a limit to the size of the jaw muscle that can fit in the space between the jaw and the skull. The anapsids have no temporal fenestrae, which means that they would have a weaker bite force for their equivalent size.
One way to allow for a larger jaw muscle is to have a hole where the larger muscle can bulge out. This can be seen in both euryapsid and synapsid skulls, which have 1 temporal fenestra on each side. Since animals with diapsid skulls have 2 temporal fenestrae on each side of the skull, they can accommodate the largest jaw muscles. Crocodiles are an example of diapsids that have a very powerful bite. What does all this have to do with recognizing dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs are diapsids, which have 2 temporal fenestrae on each side of the skull. So when we want to know if a fossil skeleton is from a dinosaur, we first look to see if it has those fenestrae. If it does, we then look for other traits or characters that will tell us whether or not it's a dinosaur.
Let's go back to those 4 skeletons and see if we can figure out which one might be a dinosaur. Here are their skulls. Which one do you think is a dinosaur? Remember, dinosaurs are diapsids. That means they have 2 temporal fenestrae on each side. So, the only one that could possibly be a dinosaur is A.
But not all diapsids are dinosaurs. In our next episode, we will learn how to identify dinosaurs by using some of the characters that make dinosaurs different from other diapsids. See you next time!